You are listening to Station 655, the Minoc, your one-stop program for all of our brave soldiers out there in the Grand Army of the Republic, keeping us safe. Remember, boys, keep your rations stored safely and be sure to pack some extra socks for those cold climate deployments. Now, here is your host, CT-1586, aka Slackjack.
We are back on Station 655, the Minoc, your favorite talk radio program for the brave soldiers of the Republic. From Coruscant to the far reaches of the Outer Rim, we have thoughts and opinions, and we want to hear from you. I'm your host, CT-1586, aka Slackjack. Before we get started here, I'd just like to remind you that with the holidays coming up, remember that while on deployment, the Grand Army maintains a strict sobriety policy, so keep those festive drinks unspiked. Talking to you, Bottle Cap. We also have a special shout-out from CT-26784, who wants to let his comrades in the 212th know that he has been found since being captured by the Seppies on Ryloth, and he's on his way home for the holidays. Fantastic news. Well, today we'll be answering your questions, along with getting a few calls from some of our listeners. As always, thank you to everyone who has supported this program over the years. It means the world that we have so many listeners. Of course, we have our regulars on Coruscant, Camino, and all over the outposts and Venators, but we've recently learned that our program has reached as far as Dantooine and even Bakura, which is phenomenal. We hope to keep this show going for years to come. Okay, enough gushing. Let's get to our first question. Our first question comes from one of our brothers in the 212th. He says, "Hey Slackjack, Spade here. As you know, we recently got some transfers from another battalion that was unfortunately mostly wiped out. I don't know what happened exactly, but I can tell it has their morale in the gutter. Do you have any words or advice for them?" Absolutely. Thank you, first of all, for your question and continued service. General Kenobi could tell you personally how often morale runs low in awful situations. The best advice I can give is to make a habit of doing something simple to help take your mind off of things. For one of my brothers, Lugar, may he rest in peace, his habit was to disassemble his rifle and reassemble it until it became second nature, inside and out. For me, it was sketching, drawing anything that came to mind, whether it be in the dirt or on some old paper. I'm no artist, but just drawing little things like rocks, plants, or just sketching my helmet helped a great deal. Thanks for the question. We now have some questions here from Jordan Cox, and he writes, "Hey Slackjack, I have 3 questions. 1. Who do you believe is the most powerful Jedi? 2. What planet would you think is your least favorite? And 3. Which clone commander do you have the most respect for? It's great to hear from you again. Have a great week." Jordan, thank you for your questions. The most powerful Jedi I've met personally has got to be Master Kenobi. I know, personal bias, but when you've seen what I've seen, you know that Kenobi is a man with immeasurable talent and skill. I've seen him level platoons of droids with a single push. As for my least favorite planet, maybe Malastare. It's just so gloomy and depressing, not to mention the dangers on the planet. Finally, the commander I respect the most is my commander, Cody. Again, personal bias, I know. He's a guy who will stick with his men and lead them through the worst situations possible. Oh, we have a caller. Hello, caller, you are on the air on Station 655.
Hey, Slack. This is General Skywalker of the 501st. I've just got to say, I disagree with your assessment on who the most powerful Jedi is.
Oh, well, who would you say is the most powerful?
Well, I don't like to brag, but... Oh, sorry, gotta go. Keep your heads down and follow me.
Well, I hope everything works out on their end. Our next question comes from Jedi Commander Sterling Torwin of the 205th Harbinger, and he writes, "Hey Slackjack, this is Jedi Commander Sterling Torwin here from the 205th Harbinger. Corporal Crow recommended this station to me, and I got to say, it's always a joy listening in on the station. I have a question for you and the guests if they can answer too. I've been going from battlefield to battlefield as of late, and listening to the station helps me out after a battle. But what are some of the things you do to help settle you down after a fight?" Oh, that is an excellent question. For me, it depends on how tough the battle was, or how long we were out there. But if I'm banged up, I like to take a dip in an ice bath, have a cold drink, and chow down on something hearty and meaty like a good stew. After that, I grab a couple of sweets if I can, and relax in my barracks. Thank you again. We now have 2 questions from Cole in the 45th, and he writes, "Cole again. I have 2 questions for you. One is from me, and the other is from one of the Jedi generals who personally led my squad here in the 45th, Kazreen Taylock. For me, settling down and recovering after every battle is always hard. Tried talking to some of our brothers in the 45th, and even Kazreen, about what we could have done differently during the battle. So my question is, what helps you settle down and recover from any battle? Well, I think I answered this before. So I'd recommend, listening there. And from Kazreen, we endured one of our most devastating battles since Moonalist, and had to witness my master, General Tai Titus, overcome the hardest thing. He says he's fine, but I still sense he couldn't let this defeat go. Don't get me wrong, the battle was lost from the start, but some believe we still could have won, saying this out of respect for the Order. I was told that the Jedi are keepers of the peace, not soldiers, but after what we witnessed, there was no right choice. So my question to you is, how do you know you're making the right choice, especially during a battle that was already lost from the beginning? Well, that's a tough one. But as for the... Oh, hold on, we have another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Slack. This is General Takayaba 303rd.
General, welcome back to the show. Do you have some input?
I do. My word of advice would be to look inside. Doing the right thing, even if it means going against orders, is always preferable to carrying out acts of evil simply because you were ordered. This is especially true for us Jedi. The war has begun to turn even the best of us into who we were never meant to become. Some of us have already lost our way. Just remember that every choice has consequences. It's up to each of us to weigh those consequences and choose the path of morality and light. Winning a battle should never come at the cost of your soul.
I don't think I could have worded that any better, General. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Slack. Take care. May the Force be with you.
We now have a few questions here from Ultra Shadow 95, and these are some pretty good questions. I think I'll phone in one of our guests for this one.
Sarah, you know we aren't supposed to be talking on open comm channels. If Master Windu finds...
Commander Urshon, this is Slackjack from Station 655. What exactly would General Windu do?
It's nothing. What's up?
Well, I was wondering if you'd be willing to give your input on these questions from one of our listeners.
Yeah, sure, I got time.
Okay. So, apparently, a vigilante called Nightshade is taking the law into his own hands on Coruscant. Any thoughts?
Oh, man. Look, I definitely get the appeal of taking matters into your own hands. Really, I do. But eventually, when the walls are closing in, all you'll be looking at are the faces of the enemies you've made. It's not going to end well.
Well, he also asks, if you have a Jedi with you, could you please explain what the different lightsaber colors mean? After all, I doubt you can choose your color, or else a lot more Jedi would have yellow, white, and purple lightsabers. Any input on that?
Well, these days the color of your lightsaber doesn't have as much significance as it did in the days of the Old Republic. In those days, your lightsaber color often signified the path you took within the Order. Green, like I have, was symbolic of the Consulars who held deep connections to the Force and resorted to action only as a last resort. Blue symbolized the Jedi Guardian. The Guardians were the Jedi's first line of defense against outside threats like the Sith. Yellow was the color of the Sentinels, who often worked in secret for the Order and were more mechanically inclined. I'm not entirely sure about the others like purple. The only Jedi I know who has a purple lightsaber is Master Windu.
This next one is addressed to me and asks, what do I plan to do with my life after the war? Well, I hope to retire somewhere quiet. But you can be damn sure this program will continue. Finally, he asks, to any Jedi or Sith in the room, when dueling, what's with all the flashy spins and twirls? Doesn't that leave you open to your opponent? Why not just keep your body and eyes in front of the enemy, so that you don't give them an opening?
Well, that's actually an easy one to answer. It's important to remember that our lightsabers can cut through nearly anything. A well-placed spin or flourish can sometimes come in handy if the enemy gets too close. Either they'll back off to give you some distance, or they risk losing a limb. It's also dependent on the style of combat. Sarah, my friend, uses a more acrobatic form, and so she uses the spins and tricks a bit more often than I do. So spinning can be a good trick, but if you're not careful, it can get you into serious trouble.
Well, thank you, Commander. We appreciate having you on.
Take care, soldier. Keep up the good work.
Now, we move on to our next question from Commander Pyro in the 36th Dragon Battalion. Oh, that is a cool name. And he writes, Slackjack, I'm Unit CC-4297. Commander Pyro here, leading officer of the 36th Dragon Battalion of the Grand Army of the Republic, under the command of Jedi General Jariel Lightbringer. After our recent battle with the Separatist forces on the unique crystal planet of Kira in the Hyperborean system of the Outer Rim, our losses were minimal, and the Jedi were a splendid assistance. However, I've begun to notice that General Lightbringer's Padawan, Zane Callis, has appeared to be more troubled lately. Oh dear. The boy's gone so far as to fling himself into the fray just to defend us clones from the incoming droids and bombardment. I understand that the General insisted that Zane should be allowed to be trained as a soldier in these trying times. But he's still just a kid, for crying out loud. He wasn't born and raised in a military training simulation like us clones. Yet he insists on always taking part in the front line. I'm afraid my time on the war front has rendered my social skills and understanding of other people almost meaningless. Because as much as I wish to console the boy, to tell him that we clones, we are the ones who were made to fight, that it's in our blood to die on the battlefield, and that he shouldn't have to risk his life for ours, I just can't find the right words. Can you help me out here? One clone brother to another? There's a question. As soldiers, it's our duty to fight to defend the Republic and its allies. Sometimes it can numb the awful reality that is death. But it's different when you see someone else putting their life at risk when it seems fruitless. I'm not an expert on the Jedi, but I do know that they fought just as hard as the rest of us in this war. I'd say talk to his master and try to work out a solution that works out for everyone. Thank you for your question. We now have one from some of our Jedi listeners. Greetings, Slackjack. I'm General Kai Ronan, and alongside Commander Casey here. Hey, you Slack. We command the 87th Sentinel Corps, and we are currently undergoing urban warfare operations on Corellia. I, for one, know it would mean a great deal for our men if you had any words of encouragement for my men during these difficult times. May the Force be with you. My encouragement to you is this. Look at each other. Not just the two of you, but all your men. Know that you are all in the same boat. None of you has to carry the weight of the war on your shoulders. Look at it this way. Moving the engine of a Venator cruiser isn't a one-man job. Neither is this. You need allies and comrades that you can rely on. When you stick together, there's one thing you always have. That's a team. Friends, brothers in arms. I hope this helps. Oh, we have another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Stupid lab rat says what?
What?
Ha! Gotcha.
Dang crank callers. Our next question comes to us from Deb II, who asks, what are your thoughts on green milk? I don't know if I've ever had it, honestly. Maybe I'll have to give it a try sometime. Oh, another caller. This is Slackjack. You're on the air.
Hello there, Sergeant.
I know that voice. Welcome back to the show, General Kenobi. We have a story and a few questions here from Commander Watcher, who says, Commander Watcher here with some questions for both the guests and Slackjack. I've heard conflicting accounts on Jedi Master Depa Billaba. One account says that she's leading troops with her apprentice Caleb Doom, while another says that she was apprehended for committing a massacre on Harun Kyle. I think that's how you pronounce it. Any idea about which one is true? Oh dear.
I can assure you that Depa Billaba is safe and sound and is training her Padawan with great enthusiasm. The rumors about any incident on Harun Kal are unsubstantiated and quite ridiculous.
Well, there you have it. As for question 2, he writes, if you were ordered by superiors to execute civilians on a world that supports the Separatists, would you do it? I've heard many disturbing viewpoints from fellow clones and loyal Republic citizens that want to see the Separatist civilians suffer. Thoughts? Okay, well, I think I speak for General Kenobi and all my brothers when I say we would never, under any circumstances, execute innocent civilians. Aligning with the Separatists does not mean that we will fly to your planet and start executing people. Our goal is to minimize innocent casualties and keep people safe.
If you are hearing this kind of talk from others in your division, do be sure to set them straight. If that doesn't work, report the incident to the higher-ups. There is no place in the Grand Army for anyone who sees fit to execute civilians.
As for this question here on the Hutts, he writes, oh no, it left. There it is. What are your thoughts on the Hutts? I think once the war is over, we need to put a stop to their criminal activities, and the Republic shouldn't make any negotiations with those slavers. None of us here are in support of their criminal activity. Unfortunately, they control a wide sector of the galaxy. To go to war with the Hutts would end countless lives, and with the allies they have, I couldn't see that war ending for 100 years.
As of now, there are no viable options that wouldn't result in mass casualties. I'm afraid all we can do at the moment is bide our time, and wait to see if an opportunity arises in the future.
And on that cheery note, that about wraps up our questions. General, it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Don't forget, we head out tomorrow, so be sure to get some sleep.
Will do, General. Take care. Before we go, a big thank you to today's sponsor, Nima Duke's Exotic Meats on Naboo. With the holidays coming up, why not try a new meal that will satisfy and delight? Nima Duke's is a family-owned business that legally and humanely sources exotic meats from non-endangered species from across the galaxy. All animals are maintained in safe, healthy environments and fed a diet of their own native foods and kept in wide-open areas instead of cages. 15% of all purchases go to a new charity every month. Be sure to check out their Holonet page and tell them that Slackjack sent you. That's all for right now. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, we'll sign off with Sakari Farah's latest single, Jedi Nightlife. See you soon.